So the book of Acts gives us the model for reaching the ends of the earth. So I'm in Burma right now. The island of Bali is absolutely spectacular. We are in Cambodia here. This is a beautiful family that lives in a village that we've done distributions with. In the Great Commission, let's remember Jesus said, go and make disciples of all nations. And for us at World Mission, it's really important that the Word of God be a part of that. I mean, how can you really become a disciple if you don't have access to the Word of God? We are in Kor, the middle of Rendili land, and all these brothers are Rendili pastors. So are you guys happy about these units?
Yes.
All right. Cambodia is an amazing country. It's surrounded by Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand, and the 16 million people that live here, they say about 85% are Buddhists, and many of them have never heard the gospel for the first time.
Hi there, and welcome to the World Mission Update. I'm Rusty Humphries. That guy is Greg Kelley. He's the CEO of World Mission. And man, we sure appreciate you, especially watching during this pretty tough time. We're all hoping that the coronavirus thing is going to let us all go out. I got to go out to a restaurant for the first time in, probably since you and I were in Bangladesh.
Come on, that's a long time. Wow, where'd you go?
I went to, is it 52 Seasons or something? They started opening up restaurants here in Arizona yesterday. So how about there in Michigan? Anything?
No, not so much.
No.
Not so much.
Not so much.
We've got a little more lockdown going, but that's okay. Actually, the Home Depots are open and some of the places where you can do some landscaping. So
the Home Depots weren't open the whole time?
No.
For you?
No.
Oh.
No, they were not. They were not. There was a time there where you couldn't get into anywhere. So now we can, and just wear our masks and social distancing, and but it's signs are coming that things will be opening up by the end of the month. So we're excited about that.
That's good. Pause here. Your microphone, it doesn't sound right.
Okay.
Talking into it.
Test. 1, 2, 3. Check.
Pot it down for a second. Is it? What's
that?
Just pot it down for us.
Point it down.
Pot it down. Use the little thing on the side, the on the board. Your microphone. Yeah. Just.
Like that. Is that better? Is that better?
Is it off?
Check.
Turn it off for a second. I got a feeling it's going through the computer.
Check.
Okay, now it's going.
Now
I
can't.
Okay, yeah. Put it back on the board now.
Okay.
All right.
So the word needs to go down, or
I think it's okay. It's okay. Just talk it to it a little bit closer if you can.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's all right. So back to our trip, which is, we have done a lot of shows on this trip, and it's because it's been well worth it. And we really want to have people to see what's going on out there in the world. And you went to Nepal, and we're going to get into that in a second. But before we do, there's some real need going on around the world that you at World Mission are really focusing on right now, especially during this crisis, right?
Yeah, this coronavirus has just devastated the areas. We tell people all the time, Rusty, that the poor, the least of these, the most vulnerable, however you want to put them in the category, they are disproportionately affected by these kind of things. And so the lack of food becomes just accentuated all the more. The people that were surviving on kind of one meal a day, now they don't have anything. And so we have 8 active feeding programs going on. And 5 of them are in Asia, couple in India, Nepal, Burma. That whole area of Asia has been absolutely decimated. And so we're really aggressively trying to get food just into these people's hands.
So how are you doing it differently than you would normally have been doing it right now? What's going on that's different, if anything?
I think what's different. Yeah. So normally what happens, we have an active disaster response. That's one of our strategies as an organization from a humanitarian standpoint. So we'll do medical, we'll do clean water projects, like we did the water filters in Bangladesh, and then we'll also drill wells. And then the third category of humanitarian outreach is disaster response. And so as an example, what makes this so different is in the Philippines, when we've done it, it's been after the typhoon came through. In Nepal, there was an earthquake a couple of years ago. And so the earthquake in Nepal is another example. And so when that happens, it's concentrated. The areas, the population centers that are impacted by these disasters are limited by the disaster itself, which is horrible if you happen to be in that zone. But what makes this so different is it's so widespread. And so all of our partners are dealing with the same thing, which is, hey, we're a lot more concerned about starvation than we are getting infected with the coronavirus. And so that's the difference. But we're hearing it. It's from east to west. It's from Senegal, 9,000 miles to Indonesia, the exact same email we're getting, which is our people are starving.
Okay, so what is it that you can do, and what is it that the audience can do to help you because the need is so desperate right now?
Well, one of the great strengths of World Mission is we have built out a great game plan as far as the ability to deliver on the ground. So our network of national leaders on the ground is very widespread. There's almost no country in that 1040 window where we don't have the ability to deliver. So eyeball to eyeball, which is a big difference. This stuff isn't just getting airdropped in, this relief. It's done through the caring hands of an individual who speaks their language, who's from their culture. And so when we send them money, and that's really what we need is money. So for about $25, we can feed a whole family for a week, just as an example.
All right, show us that 1040 window again and why that's so important.
So the 1040 window is the poorest of the poor where they live, and it also is the area which is without a gospel witness. This is where 90% of the people who are considered unreached, this is where they live. So we're going to start over here in West Africa, which is way over here, and it's 10 degrees north of the equator and then 40 degrees north of the equator. So it makes a box starting in West Africa and coming all the way across through the Middle East, through Southeast Asia, all the way to the Far East. That part of the world, which we have kind of highlighted here, it's sort of shadowed in. That's where World Missions Network is at. That's where our national leaders live, and that's where all of our ministry takes place. And that's where, this COVID has been just decimating these communities, because it's not only places where the gospel's not been, Rusty, but it's where the poorest of the poor live. It's where people without education live. It is from a standpoint of human needs issues, this is ground zero in the global community.
Are you finding a country over the others that is having the most difficult of time?
I would say India has been probably affected the most, probably because of the concentration and volume of people is just unmatched. You're not hearing a lot out of China, but India has definitely gotten our attention. So we have 3 active feeding programs right now going on in India, and they can't keep up with it. One of our guys, last week they fed 5,000 people. Wow. So the issue is we just run out of resources. I mean, we're trying to send monies over there as we can, and it's going to the direct need of we have lines of people 6 feet apart. I mean, you look at it and the irony in it is just it's kind of comical, but then you just realize the desperation of these people waiting for their one meal that they might get, in the course of 3-day period. That might be the only food they have.
Yeah. Have you figured out if somebody donates, if I donate $10, it feeds 2 people or whatever it is? I mean, I know a lot of times people go, you know what, I want to help 10 people. Yeah. It would cost me what?
Yeah, the breakdown is about $25 for a family for a week. So any increments of that, $10 is going to feed someone, 3 days basically, something along those lines. So we're trying to do it as we buy in bulk as much as we can. So these huge 50-pound sacks of rice, as an example, big 5-gallon drums of oil. We're trying to get eggs and getting some protein to them as well. Sometimes chickens, whatever we can get our hands on. And then our national partners sort of go and make the best deal with the resources that we're able to provide.
All right. So that's going on right now. The way to help is go to worldmission.cc, worldmission.cc. We'll remind you of this at the end of the show too, but go to worldmission.cc. All right. Let's get to Nepal, something that I didn't get to do, but you did. Again, if you missed the program, the day that we were supposed to go to Nepal was the day that the coronavirus really, really, really hit the fan. It was the day that the sports franchises decided, yeah, we're not going to play. Tom Hanks got sick.
Get that.
Huh?
I said, you can't forget Tom Hanks.
You can't
right?
forget Tom Hanks. And then President Trump decided to shut down Europe from coming to the United States, all while we're having breakfast in Bangladesh. And we were both going to come home. And then at the last second, Greg went, nope, going to Nepal. See ya. And so you did. And so how was that trip?
I took all of my currency that I had from Bangladesh and I gave it to you. You remember that part too?
I do. Thank you.
Oh, right. So
Hey.
don't feel too bad for Rusty.
$7 is $7, man.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
You got everything.
So you got to Nepal, and tell me a little bit about the trip.
Yeah, the reason we went there was that was our summit. So we do a summit meeting at World Mission where our model is totally based on our national leaders. So we've got 30 of these amazing world-class leaders from Senegal, all throughout North Africa, West Africa, Middle East, and Asia. And they're broken up. About half of them are representing the continent of Africa, and then the other half are Asia. And so every other year we're doing a summit for Asia, and the opposite year is Africa. So this was our Asia year. We kind of did a mini summit. Because of the majority of our activity is in North India and then in Nepal, we had all 5 of our India leaders together, Rusty, and we did this summit. But we took them, we did kind of a sort of a camping experience, give them a bucket list to get them out of their own sort of area of ministry.
All right. While you're talking, I'm going to put some of these guys up there. I've got a picture of you with the whole team there, and you got the Himalayas in the background.
Oh, man, I have to say, of all the summits we've done, and we've done a lot of them, this was the best backdrop that we've ever had as we're looking at the Annapurna Range there in the Himalayan Mountains. But these guys had never seen snow before. So that the first night we got up there in the mountains, there was this huge snowstorm. And so we're going through. In fact, part of the trail we were supposed to go on was totally shut off because there was so much snow. Wow. And so we went up one way and then we kind of came back down the same way because the other side was basically shut down. But the guys seeing snow for the first time, and we were just able to, we got out the maps of India, and we had when the takeaway, Rusty, I'm so excited because through our group of 5 leaders, we are targeting in the next 5 years the 100 largest unreached people groups in the entire country of India. So it was really exciting, just the vision that came out of that. They were encouraged. We did a little teaching, had some fellowship, but definitely in the back of everybody's mind was this COVID because they didn't know if they were going to be able to get back into India as they were in Nepal. So it was pretty crazy.
So there's a picture here of you and a guy in a green jacket, and he's got a walking stick, and he's one of the guys that's never seen snow.
Exactly. First time he had ever seen snow in his life. And I might add that, you and I were talking the weeks leading up to this trip about the physical endurance that was going to be required. And
yes.
a couple of the guys couldn't. The last day, as we got to the top of the mountains, there was another, probably the most intense incline to get to the summit of the top of the mountain, if you will. And a couple of the guys just couldn't make it. I mean, when you're from a low altitude, you just can't simulate this intense, response that your body's having. And the altitude, you're at well over, 12,000 feet up there. And they just went about halfway, and they're like, this is as far as our bodies are going to allow us. So they had to head back down to our lodge that we were staying at. But it was a great experience for them.
Oh, we have a picture of the lodge. Where is it? There we go. This is you hanging out in the lodge with the mountains and the snow. And
Yep. Those were the meetings. So again, we're giving these guys a bucket. It's kind of no different than I'm some of our listeners here, the Great Commission World Mission Update. We talk about getting away, and when you're leaders, you take people maybe into the countryside, maybe up in the mountains, maybe out on camping, and you kind of get them out of their element a little bit in a place where they can really just kind of enjoy nature. But also it creates a really great environment to have discussions, deep discussions, talk about vision. And that's what we try and do at our summits. But for these guys to see the mountains like that, what's interesting, Rusty, is that we've heard that the distance that you can see the Himalayan Mountains from now in northern India, they never could see them because of the smog. But now because of the shutdown, they actually can see the Himalayan Mountains from northern India.
So it's the first time they've ever been able to see them from India because of the smog?
Because of the smog. There was a day where it cleared up. Of course, it takes days for it to, clear out a little bit. And this was just a few weeks ago. They were showing photos of that. And the people were like, what is that? We've been living here for, 30 years and we've never seen those mountains there. But as the smog cleared out, now they can see the Himalayan Mountains.
It's magic. It's magic. We've got a video here of some, I guess you're doing treasures in Nepal. Is that right?
So this is in someone's hut. And this is what a typical treasure distribution would look like in a rural village in the mountains. So in that video, what we have is a remote village and actually a home where people are gathered around their treasure and they're listening. And so what we hear stories where people will be sitting there for hours and hours and hours at night. When the sun goes down in these places, there's not a lot going on. And especially here that's cold, so they have to be inside their little huts. And you see a whole family just sitting there listening to the Word of God. Wow. And they will absorb that. And then one of our leaders will come through maybe a few days later and talk to them. And a lot of times, Rusty, what's super exciting is that churches spawn out of these sort of these listening groups. So it's amazing what God does through that little thing.
Absolutely. We have another video here. What is this that we're about to see?
What is this that we're about to see? This is...
You got some kids or something, it looks like. And it looks like they're in almost a garbage dump.
Yeah, so this is from our India guys. So the guys that were at the summit, they shared this. They said, this is what God is doing through the generous support of individuals who are helping us do a feeding program. So you can see the lines of people who are gathered together and getting their meal that was provided by World Mission.
All right.
Hey, World Mission, thank you so much. This is Reverend Sanjay Kumar Mahananda, and these people really need your help. They desperately need food. You can see how much long is that. Oh my goodness. Hey, Greg Kelley, sir. This is your help and your effort to help these people, to feed these people. This is long. Thank you so much. Please pray and help that we can help the people in this pandemic situation. God.
Shocking if you've never been to a place like that, just how dirty and trash filled and awful places like that are, but they're finding the Word of God.
Yeah. It just goes to show you, Rusty, that when you're in the valley of someone's life, the receptivity that they'll have to the gospel is at no time similar to that in their life, because they're so receptive. They're questioning everything that they know. Their whole worldview is coming kind of under like questioning, if you will. And so that's a great time for our guys to build a relationship with them. And that's what we're doing. It's not a bait and switch or anything like that. It's just loving them, just purely unconditional love. And then with that comes a great opportunity to tell them about Christ. And that's what's going on with our partners there.
That's awesome. All right, we are running short of time here, Greg. There's some real need going on in the world right this very minute. And I know it's hard for everybody, but I promise you, as hard it is for you, it's harder over there. What's going on?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, all of us are struggling. Everybody has their difficulties. And I think the opportunities right now in these areas of the world are unprecedented, because the people in these areas that you're seeing in these photos are people who had never heard the gospel. The thing that's drawing them in is the love of Christ being expressed through food. And so in the simplest way, we cost us $1, cost us $2 to help this person have rice or help their family have rice. And then in exchange for that comes this beautiful thing called an open heart. And that's where our guys step in. They give them treasures. They take the Word of God back to their home. But it all starts with the generosity of our friends here at the World Mission Update who are watching, helping us do this. So, we're so thankful for you're carrying your concern for people like this around the world.
So what we ask you to do, and do it right now, if you would please, it is so very vital and important. Go to worldmission.cc, worldmission.cc, see all the things that Greg and his wonderful team are doing. But most importantly, please, I implore you to please donate a few dollars to help feed these people around the world and help feed them the Word of God. Greg, you have the last word.
Yeah, I think that Rusty nailed it right there. We're feeding them physical food, but at the end of the day, they're getting the word of life. And that's the most important thing we could deposit into these lives. And again, keep in mind, these are people, not only today, they don't have access to physical food, they don't have access to spiritual food. We're bringing both of them, and it's because of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please go to worldmission.cc, worldmission.cc. I'm Rusty Humphries. He's Greg Kelley. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week right here on the World Mission Update.